What's going on, guys? It's Nick with Trenchel Supply, and today we're going to be helping out a customer doing a coating project at a strip mall here in Torrance, California. So the pipe is a 3-inch cast iron drain that has roots coming in from the 12 o'clock position. So we're going to grind those roots out, get the pipe all clean, and then go in there and coat it using our spray epoxy coating machine. We're going to seal the whole line off using that epoxy, doing brush coating, and we're going to walk you through that whole process. All right, so we're in the bathroom where we're going to be doing the coating from. There is 2 bathrooms that connect into this, and then there's also another store that connects into these bathrooms. So 3 bathrooms in total that we're going to be doing the coating for. We have our camera in the wall clean out right now, and we're at the root section where there is a crack on the top of the pipe where they're entering through. So we're going to show you what that looks like on camera, and we'll show you during the coating process how we're able to repair that and seal it off. So you can see those roots growing from the top of the pipe. We are going to use descaling chains with our MIDI coater machine to grind those roots out prior to the coating process. So we have our MIDI coater machine right outside of the bathroom, and we're going to go ahead and grind those roots out before we start coating. On the machine, there is a flex shaft motor inside of it that goes up to 2,000 RPM. So on the bottom, we have a left or right switch, which is the direction that the cable spins, and then our RPM knob, which shows how fast that we're spinning. All we have to do to hook up our flex shaft cable is using this little adapter. We plug it in, and we're set up and ready to go. So we have our chains in the drain right now. You can see them grinding out those roots. And we have our camera right behind our chains to see everything that we're doing. So as you can see on camera, we have cleaned that root mass that was growing in through the crack on the top of the pipe. So at this point, we are now good to flush those roots out of the line, dry the line out, and then we'll start to coat it. Now the line is cleaned out, there's no more roots inside of there, and the crack is exposed. But we did have to use some water to flush all of that root and debris out of the line. So because it's wet, we now have to dry it out, which is why we have our blower hooked up to our clean out, and it's gonna blow hot air into the line. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes to dry the pipe out. And after it's dry, we're gonna verify with our camera prior to coating. So after that process ends, then we will get back to you. So now we have the machine all hooked up with the epoxy inside of it. On the top, there is epoxy cartridges that just sit in the unit. I can pop it out so you can take a look. It stays hooked up to the entire hose set. This hose set is insulated and is heated. So there's a heat cable running through the whole length of this epoxy hose. And on the end of it, we have a A and a B. The A is the white, the B is the blue. They're capped off, and the epoxy stays inside of the hose set. So it's ready to go for your job. There's no need to throw away any of your hoses, your air hose, your epoxy. It all stays connected. We are good to go to start coating. So we have our part A and our part B hoses uncapped, and we are going to attach what we call a static mixer and a Y connector to these epoxy hoses. So the 2 parts are going to join inside of this Y connector and then come through this tube where they mix over 50 times before they meet the edge and start to pour out the resin behind the brush. And then using the brush, we're going to spin and pull backwards, which spreads the epoxy on the inside of the pipe. So our Y connector is hooked up to our epoxy hoses, and we have it taped off on the connector side, that way it doesn't come apart. But they're coming and meeting inside of the static mixer, and it starts out at an odd mix and then slowly starts to mix and get that nice baby blue color. So right now we're watching our brush spread the epoxy on the inside of the pipe. We're sitting right on top of our static mixer, so the piece that mixes the resin and dumps it out. And we're just verifying that the full pipe is covered with epoxy and that our brush is sticking into those broken areas. So we're going to continue to pull back, and it looks like our first coat is almost finished. So we're getting ready to do our second coat. The first coat is now dry, so we're taping up our static mixer that we were able to wash out using acetone. And we're going to tape our static mixer right on our sheathing behind our flex shaft cable and behind our brush. So I'm going to tape the top of the static mixer and the Y connector, just so the push fittings don't come undone when we're inside of the pipe. So I'm gonna get this taped up, and then we're gonna go in and do our second coat and start stacking on layers to get that sealed off. So we just finished the final pass on this pipe. You can see that nice blue color on the epoxy. So this is the area where the roots were intruding when we showed you that first clip, and now those roots are completely sealed out of the pipe. You can't even tell where the crack was, and this pipe is structurally sound and good for the next 30 years. So in this video, we showed you how simple the coating process is, from inspecting it to cleaning it out and actually applying those coats of epoxy in the drain. This pipe is now sealed off for the next 30 years. If you or your company wants to learn how to use the coating machine and the coating equipment, we do offer training at our facility in Murrieta, California. Feel free to reach out to us on our website via a form submission, give us a call, or shoot us an email. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you later. Peace.